So this is a head, heart, and handwork. Happy New Year. Today's the 8th, and I'm doing the thing with my hands again. I don't understand why. But anyways, today's the 8th, and in the first week of the new year, I've had 2 finishes. We're going to talk about that in a minute. I know it's been a while. Christmas got busy, and then while I was in California, I actually didn't do a whole lot of crafting. Go figure. I love my house in California. But the problem is I don't have good lighting for doing things like needlework, so I tend to not do anything. And that being said, I did have a Christmas Day start, and I should show you. Hang on a second. I didn't think about showing this today, so it was just sitting beside me, but I had to pull everything out. Anyways, it is the Yule Goddess by Tiny Modernist. And I saw this and I fell in love. And I'm like, this is awesome. I converted it. The pattern is in DMC and Anchor, and I converted it to overdyes because I like overdyes. And this is all I've done on it so far. The moon that's above her head. Now this fabric is awesome. I love this fabric. I found it on Etsy. And this is a printed Aida. Now normally I don't stitch on Aida. I'm pretty much a linen person. But I thought this was so cool. They had it in Christmas red and Christmas green. And I bought it. Then I found this pattern. I'm like, well, obviously I have to do the Yule Goddess on a green background. With this. Now, not only did I do a color conversion from DMC to overdyes, I had to change a lot of the colors. They just don't work with this green. And that's okay. Making adjustments for what you actually have in hand actually makes a lot of sense. Sorry, husband decided to walk through. It actually makes a lot of sense to change the colors if it's not working with your fabric. If you're going to change up the fabric, I don't know if you noticed, but on that one, it's a very mustardy yellow background. And that some of the colors that she picked, beautiful, but did not work on this fabric. So I changed things around to make it more something that I thought was pleasing to the eye. And that's just part of the journey. So that was Christmas. I didn't really do anything, and that's okay. So I did have one finish. I finished something yesterday. I started the day before, and there's a little bit of a story behind it. So when I went to Acorns and Threads one of the last times, I saw they had these little coffins, and I'm like, I do not know why this is for sale, but it's so cute. I'm going to get it anyways, even though I have no idea what it's for, because how often do you see a cute little coffin? And then as I was in line to check out, I spotted what it was for. Is for this pattern. This is Stacy Nash Primitives. I can speak. The Witch Hazel Sewing Coffin. I'm like, oh my gosh, that is too cute. There we go. I have to make this. Duh. It only took a few hours. It was like 3 or 4 hours total. Now this is where that changing colors comes in handy. So here's mine. Isn't she cute? Oh, and okay, this is not a skit stitch. That is, linen is uneven. And that spot where it's a little thicker. It looks like a beauty spot. Oh my God, that is awesome. Okay, anyways, if you look here, her eyes and her nose and mouth are dark. I used the called for or something equivalent. But you see, they're yellow. And the fabric here is brown. Well, I actually just had this piece. This was cut off from something else. I'm like, oh, let me use it. It'll be really pretty. And it is. But when I tried to do the called for light color for her eyes, nose, and mouth, they were washed out. You couldn't see it. So I had to play around last night playing with different fibers. And the nice thing of it only being a half a dozen stitches, if it didn't work, I could just rip it out. But I used a tool that I learned from knitting. So when you're putting color work, when you're picking colors for color work, stranded color work or double knitting or whatever kind of color work you use, you want to take a look at the colors that you've picked for your knitting, line them up, take a picture, and then look at it black and white. Let me see if I still have a picture. Okay, so real quick, let me show you this process. So when I first did it, I took a picture and looked at it in black and white. And unfortunately, I didn't keep that picture. But the problem is, in the black and white picture, you could not see the difference of between the eyes and the nose. They were completely washed out, it matched the rest. So I played around with a couple of different ones and took a black and white, and then I'll show you what the final choice was. All right, so on this you can see that her face and her dress, they're all pretty, even though they're an orange and a gray, their tone, their saturation of color is pretty much the same. The black stands out. And also you can actually see that she has eyes, nose, and mouth. That was part of what told me that it worked. It was just different enough. The saturation of color was just different enough that the eyes popped. I tried 3 different greens until I tried this one. I tried, 3 different greens because I was being super lazy and just going through whatever patterns I had near me. I'm like, well, let's just pull something out because I only need a single strand. And it was until this last one that you could actually see that distinction. So that's a tool. If you're trying to figure out your colors and something just isn't working, take a picture of the threads and see if they all have that same level of saturation. You need things that are very contrasty in order for them to look good. So yeah, now I have this lovely little pumpkin witch with a beauty mark, and it looks really good. So yeah, that was that one. That was a lot of fun last night doing that. And then the other finish I have is Oh Christmas Tree by All Through the Night. I know I showed this when I bought it. I should like take these out of the thing. So, and I actually finished my part today. So it looks like this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start taking this to retreats and things, and I'm going to create a retreat sampler, for lack of a better phrase. So I'm going to call this the, see, I took it out of the package and it's still, I'm going to call this the Help Me Decorate My Christmas Tree. So I didn't put any of the ornaments on. So I'm going to pass the pattern around and this and ask people to stitch an ornament for me. Let me show you what so one of the points of doing this is that you get a community project going. Everybody goes, oh, I signed this, or I did this part. I learned about this at the last Pacific Northwest Stitch Summit. There were a couple that were going around, and it looked really cool. Now, here's the bonus. This is a way for you, as a needleworker, we all have skeins and skeins and skeins of threads and fibers in our collection that we'll probably never use again. As beautiful as they are, we don't have enough, or there's just a little bit left, or you don't like it anymore. This is a way to get rid of this stuff. What you do is you create a rule that pick a thread, pick a color, and stitch on my sampler, but you keep the skein. Which is a lot of fun. In fact, I think that's how I got the brown and green to actually stitch this part of it. It was one of those that was passing around, or someone said, here, I've got all this extra floss, take something. So not only do you get get some help getting this community project going of stuff being stitched, but you have an opportunity to get rid of those lonely skeins you're never ever going to use again. And I really like that idea. So that's what I've been up to for the last month. In the year coming ahead, I am changing up how I do my planning and my WhipGo. I'm still using that. I still like that tool, but I'm changing up how I do it. And I think I'm going to leave that for another video because it's a little more involved than I really want to get into in the last 1 minute and 5 seconds I have left. Rather than rush through it, I'd actually rather just talk about it. So yeah, I've been doing a little bit of knitting. I've been doing a lot of stitching in the last week with the new year. I was able to hit. I was sick last week, so I did a lot of stitching while I was sick. And I'm really looking forward to this year. I've got at least 2 retreats that I'm going on. One's at the end of the month at Acorns and Threads. It's the Gathering of the Nuts. That's the nickname. I don't remember what the real name is, but that's okay. So I'll be there January 28th, and I'm really looking forward to that. So until then, have a wonderful week and happy making.